Your dreams are bigger, bolder, and more badass than the life you're living now, but something just keeps getting in the way. Join certified coach and former therapist Diane Wingert for the Driven Woman podcast. She'll show you how to get rid of whatever is holding you back so you can stop spinning your wheels and up-level your life. Get ready to hop in and buckle up. This is the Driven Woman podcast, and we're heading for the fast lane.
Well, hey there, and welcome back, Driven Woman. Today's guest is Juliet Peay. Her business is Yeah, That Writer. Juliet approached me a few months ago on LinkedIn. She was in her corporate job, was just about to leave to launch her brand new baby entrepreneurial venture as a copywriter. And her pitch was something I hadn't ever received from anyone before. She said, I'm doing a marathon networking session, and how'd you like to meet for 15 minutes? I was intrigued. Now, listen, I get pitched all the time, for all kinds of reasons. And frankly, most of the time I just ignore them. But she caught my eye because she was proposing something in a slightly different way. And I do love me some clever, I gotta be honest. I'm also kind of obsessed with copywriters and copywriting, probably because that was a path I could easily have imagined myself taking and loving. So I said yes. We bonded immediately and we've become friends. There's a big age difference. There's a big geographical difference, but I adore this girl, and you'll hear the feeling is mutual. We're kind of obsessed with each other. It's a little gross. Sorry, not sorry. But anyway, Juliet is doing a lot right out of the gate by following her own instincts and intuition, by not taking too much advice from other people, and it's allowing her to intuitively network, get referrals, find customers, and most of all, do her business her way, not by following the leaders, whoever they may be. So I hope you find this interview and Juliet as delightful and inspiring as I do. I'm looking forward to sharing her with you. Here we go. You know, for me, one of my most favorite things is when you connect with another person, you don't know them from Adam or Eve for that matter, and you become like instant besties in spite of a big age difference and many miles apart. And we'll probably never see each other in person, but we can't get enough of each other. And that's exactly who I'm talking to today. Yeah, that copywriter. Oh, sorry, I already botched your website. Yeah, that writer. Juliet Peay. I can't believe you're here, and I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. And yes, we are obsessed with each other in the best way possible.
It should be embarrassing, but I'm beyond that point. So I just say, fuck it. You know, we're obsessed, mutually obsessed. That's better than stalking, you know, and it's totally legal. Do you want to share the conversation about how we met? Because I was literally impressed with you from the very beginning. I get pitched all the time. I get pitched on all the socials. I get pitched in my email. I get pitched for this podcast. And most of them are frankly fucking annoying and formulaic. They all sound the same. And I'm like, oh, hell no. But you reached out to me on LinkedIn, I think, was it like 3 months ago? Just barely?
So I was on LinkedIn, and people say, you know, LinkedIn's the best place to connect with professionals, blah, 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 blah. And I knew, so I was getting ready to go out on my own and quit my job, quit the 9-to-5, jump into entrepreneurship. And I was thinking, you know, my network is so full of like old coworkers and people from like previous lives, how I say, like I used to work, you know, in commercial real estate, I used to work in insurance, and that's all who my connections were, because whatever my job of the day was, that's who I tried to connect with on LinkedIn. And so I decided I'm just going to expand my network. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm just going to kind of see what's out there and see who's out there on LinkedIn. So I looked up, you know, coaches and added a bunch. And one of them was you, which I'm so just happy that we connected from that. But I decided too that I set up a Calendly, and it was for like a 15-minute chat, like just like if anyone is willing to help me start the process of having these, you know, conversations just to authentically meet people, because I didn't want to just, you know, meet people, send them a message in their DMs, be done. Like I was very much open to let's have real life conversations, get to know people, get to know who each other are, who can I learn from type thing. And I don't remember if this was our very first conversation, but I had sent you a link. And the message that I sent was literally, I know this is kind of crazy, but I'm going to do a networking marathon where every 15 minutes I'm going to talk to anybody that'll bite. And you said, sure, I'm down. And here we are now. But we also bonded over how you don't have an E at the end of your name, Diane, and I don't have an E at the end of my name, Juliet. And that was just our bond over that simple little thing that most people misspell our names. And I don't know, we just had the best conversation and always do.
Absolutely. And I would say, Juliet, from the get-go, it's super fucking ballsy to just quit your job at today's your birthday. You are barely 28 years old, right? So happy birthday.
Yes.
But you
Thank
literally
you.
just said, I'm going out on my own. I've done a few things, but none of them are the thing that I want to be known for, the thing that I want to spend all my time doing. And I don't have to have a bunch of customers all lined up. I'm just going to let the world know. I'm going to announce to the universe, I'm ready to jump. I'm ready to do my own thing. I am a copywriter. I want to work with coaches. So I'm just going to connect with a bunch of people that look like they might be interesting to me and see if any of them will spend 15 minutes with me. But I think what caught my eyes, because people are always asking for 15 minutes to pick your brain. I'm like, honey,
picking brain. No.
It's like, trust me, I need the whole brain. I need every gray cell, everyone. And I'm not sharing, and I can buy my own coffee. Not giving it to anyone else. Yes. No, I mean, I will rent it. I will loan it. I will share it. But no, you're not going to buy me coffee and pick my brain, because my brain is worth a hell of a lot more than Starbucks. But your approach was, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not asking you to be my mentor. I'm not asking you to hire me, although obviously I could. But you said, I'm a budding entrepreneur about to take a leap, and I'm doing a networking marathon as my maiden voyage. What do you think? It was clever. It was original. It was a low barrier to entry. I didn't feel like I was committing to anything. And I thought, I like her spunk. Let's do this. So besides connecting with me and having this love fest for the last 3 months, what else came out of that? Like, how many people, I want the stats. How many people did you reach out to? How many responded? How many speed dating networkings did you do? And what's become of them?
Yes. So I'm trying to remember. I don't remember exactly how many people I sent it to just on LinkedIn. It was honestly probably not that many. It was maybe like 30 people. I guess to some that might be a lot, but it wasn't like I sent it to, 1,000 people or anything. I just thought, who would I really enjoy chatting with, and send it to them. And then I posted it on Facebook too, just to kind of put it out there if anybody else wanted to hang out, which happened to, I think I got more accepts from people on Facebook. So I think in total, I probably only met with maybe 5 people instead of, 500, but that was fine because I didn't need to meet 500 people. Like I wanted to meet, 5 people that were open to it and like-minded and wanted to just have, a chat, people that were okay with just having a chat without any strings attached. And I think the people that signed up from Facebook were people that I was already kind of in mutual groups with. And so it was kind of just like hey, we're playing in the same waters, let's connect. And that's how I like to operate, because the thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, the people you can meet online are it's a big ocean, I guess you could say. It's a big ocean, but if you're finding the right people, like you said, we might literally never meet in person, face to face, but I feel like it's just as much of a genuine connection than if I were going to go like door to door or go to in-person networking events. So I'm just amazed at the way that online relationships work these days. And just like you said, those kind of like low risk connections that can be friendships. Later, they can be clients. Later, they can be collaborators. There's so much potential, but I think people just get wrapped up into, like you said, the cold pitches, the cold DMs, you're totally going to sign up for my high ticket offer if I just DM you. Like, it doesn't work that way.
I kind of think one of the things I know we both have in common, Juliet, and we've chatted about a little bit, is that we're both really intuitive. And we're both willing to get an idea, sounds good to us, and what the hell, just give it a try. And I think one of the reasons why we get so many cold pitches that just fall flat and go nowhere is because that's not an ability that everybody has. Not everybody trusts their intuition and is willing to I'll just try this. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Nobody bites. And then I'll try something else. I don't think everybody thinks that way.
I don't think so either. I think so many people are still stuck in the mindset that it's just a numbers game and people aren't numbers, period, at the end of the day. And so I hate that approach. Like today, literally, I had a message from a girl who I've never met. I mean, I think we're maybe Facebook friends. We had like one mutual friend in common, but she sent me a message and it said, "Happy birthday. Hope you eat so much cake. By the way, I wanted to give you a $5 discount on fat burning coffee." And I was like, thanks for
Oh
the
my
birthday
God.
wishes, but no thank you to the sales pitch. Like, goodbye. Absolutely not. And the sad thing is that it was clearly
That's
copied and
bizarre.
pasted.
Eat cake so I
Yeah,
can sell you some fat burning coffee. Like,
exactly. Yes. And it was clearly copied and pasted because she accidentally pasted the same message twice. And so I'm just like, I'm
oh
no, like, we're
no.
not doing generic happy birthday sales pitches. And yeah, I
Apparently
think
some
people
of
just
us
think,
are.
yes, yeah, some people, but I don't think that they're getting very much success from it, which just goes to show that, people aren't numbers. So I think that's where people, I don't, like you said, don't have that intuition and they just try to go by like a process instead of really thinking about like relationships and the people on the other side.
Agreed. In fact, I kind of wonder, why are these, obviously they're canned approaches, and obviously somebody's making bank selling these
Yeah.
templates, if you will. It's
Hmm.
probably being taught in one-on-one coaching. It's probably being taught in group coaching. It's probably being taught in online courses. It's probably in a swipe file of
Yep.
templates, like DM this, DM that, email this, pitch that. I know I've seen it. I see it in my Instagram feed. I see it on Facebook. I see it
Yeah.
everywhere. But what I don't understand is why people feel so comfortable using it, because I mean, would it work on them?
Hmm.
I can't imagine what kind of person would respond to that kind of pitch in a positive way. To me, it not only doesn't land, it's a complete turnoff. And I loved what you
Yeah.
said about not being a numbers game, because the truth is that, I mean, I've been studying online courses, and what I'm realizing is that everybody's preaching in the coaching world, which we're both a part of. It's
Yeah.
all scale, scale, scale. Well,
Hmm.
scaling is going from one to many to one to very many. But what are the closing rates when you need to put yourself out in front of, you're buying Facebook ads and Instagram ads and Google ads, and you are putting yourself in front of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people to get a 1 to 2% close rate? Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
better to do like you did? Choose 30 people that would be interesting to have a
Yes.
conversation with and line up 5 of them. And maybe I'm the only one that's gone anywhere, but you and I are going to do stuff together. So to me, it's
Hmm.
like, I'm okay with the smaller numbers, you know?
I agree, yeah, with the smaller numbers because it's like I would rather have a friendship, have an online friendship, keep up with somebody, genuinely know who they are. Because if they decide to work with me, how much more exciting that is that we already have that rapport established and that we already genuinely like each other, already have a feel for each other, know about each other's lives. Like, I think it's way more fun to work with your friends than some random client who, just needs something, they're paying you money. Like, I'm
Absolutely.
not saying, I know that working with family and friends can like get complicated. So I'm not saying like, definitely work with all your friends. But just in general, it's if you're going to establish, build, know, like, and trust, do it in a way that's true and not just in the highlight reel of your life.
Exactly. Other than the fact that people are buying these pitch templates that are not landing and they're following bad advice, and maybe they don't have the same level of intuition that you and I do about what people would maybe respond to and what might feel good to them. What are some of the other ways that you approach online networking and getting referrals that may be a little bit different from your peers?
Yeah. So I think what started my journey, I guess, into online networking, which is far from network marketing, just to make that like very clear divide, is it's not even supposed to be, marketing based. So what got my start in, I guess, forming some online relationships was when I knew that I wanted to do something outside of the admin world and I knew that I wanted to do writing, but I didn't know how to kind of like make that happen because I didn't have a portfolio. Like I would write articles for LinkedIn every now and then or post them on Medium, but it was really sporadic and I just couldn't figure out how to show people what my gift was because I knew that I couldn't just go like apply for a copywriting job like with no portfolio. So I was reading the book called Reinventing You by Dory Clark, and it's about
Mm,
like kind of personal branding when you're going to like change industries. And her advice was meet with people that are in the job that you think that you want, not just like the job that you think, like not just the job you say you want, not the CEOs of a bunch of companies. Meet with people that are like a step ahead of you and in the job that you think that you want and talk to them. And I did not know anyone like that. Like I didn't know anyone really that was a writer. I didn't know anybody that was like doing digital marketing, which I thought I might want to go into. And so I think I looked through LinkedIn and maybe Facebook a little bit and looked in like some ad agencies or just publications that I really liked. Greenville has a newsletter called Greenville Today, and it like just keeps you up to date with, the city. And they had a customer service person that I knew was heavily involved in the content. So that was one of the people that I reached out to and just said, hey, I think I want to be in your industry. I'm not reaching out to someone who's built an empire. I'm reaching out to someone who, has a job and content is involved. And I thought that, maybe I could learn from them. So I met with them. I met with two girls working for an ad agency. One of them was a copywriter. One of them was a digital marketing specialist. I met with a girl who's now basically my copywriting mentor who was a freelance writer. And I was like, people can just write by themselves. Like that's a job. Like I thought that was so cool. And I just reached out to them on LinkedIn and genuinely said, hey, I think I want to be in this industry, but I don't really know. Can I, I did say, can I get you coffee? But
and
it
pick your
was
brain.
extremely low risk. Yeah. I mean, but it wasn't because I wanted a job. It wasn't because I needed, heavy coaching or anything like that. I literally just wanted to know, what does a day in your job look like? What does it require? How did you get there? Because I also kind of had the misconception that everyone in marketing has a marketing degree or everyone in copywriting has like a giant portfolio. And through those, meetings and phone calls, I was able to kind of gather I actually think I would hate digital marketing. Like it sounds super tedious and I don't care to grow a following, for other companies on Instagram. But when I talked to the writing people, it sounded so fun and exciting and like exactly what I wanted to do. And they told me, like spec jobs that they had done, like they would write spec ads. Like basically they would create a company and pretend to write for them. And that would be on their portfolio, which they would say like, hey, this
Oh,
is
okay.
fake, but I'm showing you that I can write. So,
Mm,
but I mean, that's what you do. Like if you don't have anyone that you can write for that can publish you, you basically self-publish until you get real clients. And so that just kind of opened my eyes to the power of those like low risk connections where you can learn extremely valuable information and also make great connections because those people are like my biggest cheerleaders. And like I said, one of them is basically my mentor now. We co-work together all the time and we cheer each other on. And now, we'll like both fuss over annoying clients. And it's just funny. Like I've kind of established like coworkers that are kind of like online coworkers, but we keep up with each other and we cheer each other on. And that would have never happened if I, for one, hadn't read that book and hadn't wanted a change in my life and hadn't just taken the risk to reach out and see what would come of it.
you did so many things, right, Juliet? And I want to roll back a little bit and kind of break them down because you knew that you wanted to do something else and you weren't exactly sure, but you followed your interests. You followed the things
Yeah.
that were attractive to you. You followed your curiosity. One of the biggest things I see that holds women back is thinking they need to have it all figured out before they can take action. And you are a perfect example of the fact that you actually figure it out by taking action. You can't just be
Yes.
completely random, but you had a couple of
Yeah.
areas, maybe digital marketing, maybe copywriting. You didn't even know it was called copywriting at that point, but you knew enough to point yourself in a direction. You didn't go way up the food chain. You went, more accessible. And you're a perfect example of what is taught all the time, but I don't know how many people are actually listening, is you can learn a lot from the thought leaders. Obviously, you learned a lot from Dory Clark, who is a thought leader, by reading her book.
Yes.
But you're not going to get on Dory's calendar for a coffee date. So
right. Yes.
you can learn from mentors and leaders and people who are, way up the food chain, but you're not going to get any personal attention from them. However, people who are much closer to you, but they're a few steps ahead of you, you can learn a lot from. They're more likely to say yes they're not intimidated by you, and they actually will probably make the time. At least some of them will. And yes, they will become your cheerleaders. But you do a lot of initiating and you do a lot of testing. I call it like you're doing like a scientific inquiry. You have an idea, you have a hypothesis. I think I need to do a little experiment. I think I need to go test this out. But you do it in a way that I imagine you get a lot more yeses than nos. Can we talk for a minute though about how you deal with nos? Because I suspect that you don't take a no the way most people do. And I'm going to have a little sip of water while you answer.
Sure. I'm going to get a sip of water right after you. No's, I just feel like are not the end of the world, because if it's just an idea in the beginning, there's not any devastation attached to it. And when there's no strings attached, there's not that far to fall. And when you approach it at like a human to human thing, if someone says no and they're rude about it, I think there's kind of a misunderstanding. Like,
or they're just a rude ass person. It's got nothing to do with you.
Yes. Yeah. Like they might be rude. They might genuinely not have time, which is perfectly fine and understandable. They might have been, burned in the past. And I think that's why it's important to be genuine and keep things like those introductory things short, like 15 minutes. Like if someone is insanely busy, I'm not going to ask for an hour and a half of their time. That's just gross. Like probably on both ends. Yes, exactly. And so, I mean, no's just, I don't know, no's are not a big deal to me, because I feel like then they're not the person for you, or it's not the right time, and that's fine. And it's definitely something to always be nice about and not to feel there's no failure attached to it, because there's no agenda really. It's like, it's hopeful, it's wishful thinking, but there's no, ulterior motive to where a no honestly really matters that much.
Where did you get this mindset from? Because I see so many people. I'm not kidding, Julie. I see so many people, so many women, so many smart, capable women who have so much to offer, so much experience, and they have so much more difficulty with, quote unquote, putting themselves out there than you do.
Yeah.
And while it may seem maybe easy to you, fun, like no big deal, it's your mindset. Like the way you look at it is, oh, this might be fun. Oh, this might go somewhere. Oh, this person looked like they would be interesting. And if it doesn't happen, you don't make it mean anything about Juliet. And I think that is like, it sounds maybe commonsensical, but that's not how people operate. People make a big deal about, well, I'm not going to approach that person. Like, I'm not going to be a burden to them. I'm not going to like ask for their time. Like they're too busy and they're going to think, who is this person? I don't even have a portfolio. And all of those things, you are living proof, don't have to hold you back. That is all in your head.
It so doesn't have to be the way that people craft it to be in their minds. And honestly, I mean, I don't have any like secret, catalyst moment of the way that I came to be this way. But I really think it just kind of goes back to the mindset of, if you want a friend, be a friend. And so if you are genuinely being friendly to someone and someone doesn't want to be your friend, that's okay. There's more people out there that do want to be your friend, and you'll find your friends. Like, I think I probably, as an introvert, used to always feel like I had to find, that perfect group of people that we were going to, be like the TV show Friends and hang out all the time, or that, How I Met Your Mother, like any of those shows where there's just that perfect friend group for life. And that's how they are. I've always had really strong interpersonal one-on-one connections, and I really value that. And so when you kind of realize that like any person has the potential to establish that connection, it's a lot more fulfilling than just thinking, oh, I hope someone thinks I'm so cool. Like, I don't know. If the connection's not there, the connection's just not there, and that's okay.
I was really surprised to hear that you are an introvert, because someone who is willing to just reach out to a bunch of people they don't know and say, hey, I'm doing a marathon networking session, or hey, let's meet up because you have a job that I think I might be interested in. There's plenty of people that will say, oh, I can never do that. I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you're doing it. So I'm thinking maybe there's a little bit of confusion between being an introvert and having initiative. I know they both start with I, but you have a fuck ton of initiative and you say you're an introvert. So get me unconfused here.
I love that comparison in initiative. I love that comparison, initiative and introvert, because introvert doesn't mean that people have to come to you. I know that there's like a joke that like introverts are just people that extroverts adopt as friends. But
so that's the secret behind our friendship, because I am definitely extro.
Oh, really? That's
I've adopted
perfect. Thank you for adopting me.
You're welcome. It's your birthday present. I'll send the papers over.
Perfect. I don't know exactly what it is. I guess for me as an introvert, like, no, I don't necessarily want to go to a big group of people and shake a bunch of hands and feel like I have to make, I don't know if it's an impression thing or an impressiveness to people. I don't have that type of extrovert, like center of attention type of thing, but I don't feel like introversion keeps me from one-on-one connections. And I guess it's just because I know that I value those one-on-one connections, that I'm open to keeping that like potential always connectable. And yeah, like you said, initiative goes a long way these days, I feel like.
Absolutely. And it stands out. It makes you stand out. And I think the fact that you do it in a unique way that is fun and I think represents you really well. But because you make it easy to say no to you, I don't want to. It's really kind of funny. I think it's kind of something special about you is that you are very charming, you're humble, you're sweet, you're funny. I love your TikToks. I just love seeing, that side of your personality, because I think that's something, a lot of extroverts, they almost have an alter ego in their online persona and they're able to really show up in a really fun and playful way on TikTok and IG Reels and stuff. But I think you just make it easy to say yes by making it completely pressureless. And I think that's part of your magic. Now, I want to get deep up into what you actually do as a copywriter, because you had those pick your brain conversations. You figured out, nope, digital marketing, not me. Copywriting, yes, ma'am. And that's actually what you're doing now. So we are going to be right back after this quick little break for a message. Hey, I hope you're enjoying listening to the Driven Woman podcast and looking forward to each new episode every Tuesday. Are you ready to take our relationship to the next level? Visit my website at dianewingertcoaching.com. I have a weekly blog. There's a quiz you can take to find out what your ADHD signature strength is, and some other freebies like the 6 Steps to ADHD Mastery or the Driven Woman Roadmap Fast Track to Success. And if you're ready to get serious about going from spinning to winning and taking yourself from driven but distracted to focused, fired up, and flame retardant, you should definitely sign up for a free consultation. We'll spend 30 minutes talking about where you are, where you want to be, and whatever's getting in the way. I won't try to sell you if you're not right for coaching, and I'm not the right one for you. But if you are, this might be the best way to make 2021 your best year ever. Want to hear from someone who's actually worked with me? Have a listen to this.
Well, one thing that you helped give me insight on is how sensitive I am. And because I'm an empath, being in traffic and loud noises throughout the day, just getting to homes, that alone was really draining. And now working from home, it's like I'm able to conserve that energy, and working with the parents to really teach them kind of concepts and bigger things that have a bigger impact. Because one thing that you also mentioned was because I was working so much, I didn't have time to do the things that were meaningful to me. And that included learning, getting into the grind. You kind of just like, okay, well, I'm just going to do, instead of really stepping back and looking at more strategic ways to have, a longer term plan.
Okay, so you had your conversations, you figured out copywriting, this is it. It's who I've always wanted to be when I've grown up. But I don't have any connections. I don't have any customers. I don't have a portfolio. So how did you pull it together? Because you've got a wonderful presence now, a wonderful offer that I want to talk about, and actual paying clients. And you literally just jumped like 90 days ago. So I want to hear all the details.
Yes. Okay. So writing for me was always that thing that I was good at, which I mean, okay, I was kind of good at a few things, but writing was the thing that I really enjoyed that I knew I could keep going with. So I am very sporadic. And so when I say that I was good at a lot of things, I mean, like I was in orchestra, I was the theater kid, I liked singing, I wanted to do, mock trial. Like I had lots of interests, but writing was something, grade wise, my grades were fine, but I always heard, I think over and over, like, you're such a good writer, you're such a good writer. And so when I went to college, I did get my degree in journalism because I thought, well, at least that's practical. Maybe I'll go into radio. Maybe I'll go into TV. It was kind of broad enough that I could play around a little bit and be sporadic. Turns out that ended up being a little too broad because, like I said, when I graduated, I didn't put together a clear portfolio at all. I had just kind of jumped from thing to thing every semester. But I loved writing for a really long time. But when I learned about copywriting, I did have one class where we did like advertising commercials. And so copywriting was a big part of that. But at that time, copywriting was a little bit of a different beast. Like it was very much only agency focused. It was not the era of blogs quite yet. It wasn't the time that everybody wanted to be in Forbes as a thought leader. People having their own personal websites was just such a big investment that nobody really did it. It was all through like people would maybe have a Facebook page, but that was about it. And so I knew that was of interest to me, but my mind thought, okay, writing for advertisements, I need to focus on marketing. Like I thought that they were more hand in hand than they were. So when I graduated, my first job out of college was I was working for a commercial real estate firm and I was doing like reception/marketing. So I thought, this is it. My title is technically a marketing assistant, but I was just making flyers and I wasn't really even writing anything. It was more like copying and pasting, the specs of the buildings type thing. And I did meet with a couple CEOs, I think, when I had graduated out of college because they were like, oh, sure, we'll meet with the student and type thing. And I say this with love, but sometimes CEOs are so like up there that they're a little disconnected with the frontline working reality of things because the advice that I got was like, you're going to learn from your failures. And like as a I was like 19, 20, 21, I guess when I graduated, it was kind of like, okay,
you're
that's
not ready
not
to hear
helpful.
that.
Like, yeah, it's like, that's not tactical. It's just like, you're going to learn from your failures. I'm like, I need a job. So that's not helpful. Or it's kind of like, learn everything in the universe, which isn't terrible advice, but these days that's why so many people are spread thin because the expectation is to be able to, be digital marketing and graphic design and a salesperson and copywriting. And like, it's just kind of impossible. Copywriting is these days anything that is somewhat sales focused. So it could be, someone's website, those emails that you get all the time. My dad calls them spam, which I guess technically that they are.
A lot of them are.
But that was, yes, it was funny because he was asking what I liked writing. He was like, do you like resumes? Do you do white pages? And I was like, I love writing email launches. And he was like, so spam. And I'm like, yes, I like writing spam. But even like blogs could either be content marketing or copywriting. That's really like detailed. But the world of, digital coaching or almost anything else online these days needs so much more copy than it did 10 years ago. So it's kind of a thriving industry, which I'm really happy about because as I was saying, when I went to college, I went for journalism because I thought that was kind of the only like practical way to use writing because I knew I didn't really want to be like a novelist. So I didn't really know what to do with myself, honestly, but I'm really glad that the world of copywriting is kind of in a booming age right now because I just love it so much. I get to be creative. I get to be purposeful. I get to truly, help people that don't want to write like another word on a page. And it helps them, of course, grow their business, establish their online presence, all that good stuff.
I would imagine one of the things that's really hard about that is getting the person's voice, like the writing voice. Like because I was a psychotherapist for so many years, and when I would teach, it would be to a professional audience. I supervised students and spoke to groups of mental health professionals, and I would have to be my professional, almost professorial kind of voice. But now on the podcast, I can swear and I can be opinionated and I can be goofy and all the other parts of my personality. But still, when I sit down to write, Juliet, it is difficult to get all that out. And so what I notice is, my mood kind of changes from day to day. And sometimes it sounds serious. Sometimes it sounds silly. Sometimes it sounds sarcastic. Sometimes it sounds provocative. And, if you got somebody like me who's got all these different facets, like how do you even follow the bouncing ball and write on their behalf in a way that sounds somewhat coherent? I would think that would be a difficult challenge.
It can be difficult if a writer is aligning themselves with people that are so far out of their voice that they can't connect with it in an easy type of way. And that's why I like to write with coaches and therapists and people that are in the services industry, but also like to make an impact, because I can very easily empathize with someone who wants to make a difference in the world versus somebody that wants to tell me about the latest and greatest technology. I know that there are copywriters that, and I mean, I'm not saying that I couldn't write that way, because it is kind of like our superpower to get inside their head, converse with them, use the words that they use. That's a huge part of it. You can very easily grab someone's tone just by avoiding the words that they would never use and using more of the words that they love to use genuinely.
I love that.
And yes, so there's parts of it that aren't quite as hard as it seems, but part of it is also kind of that innate superpower that writers have where they can just, pick up someone's speaking voice and write in it. That's what makes us special unicorns. But I also feel like a lot of the niches that come out of copywriters is they are particular about aligning people that they find some commonality with. If someone's super interested in all the latest tech gear and they're already reading it all the time, it's going to be easier for them to write about it versus someone like me who has zero interest in that. And I would rather write for the cheerleaders of the world that are, set out to help people like I am. So.
No, that totally makes sense. So what you're doing now is basically being the writer for coaches. Like behind the scenes, you can write their sales pages, you can write their website copy,
Yep.
you can write an email nurture sequence, you can do regular content for them, write their blog and stuff. Do you tend to work with people for a short-term, a one-off kind of thing, or a long-term engagement, like a retainer basis? Because I'm copywriting for digital marketers is a little bit of a new field. It's changed so much in recent years. A lot of people are jumping into it, but you seem to have a gift for this, and you're shaping your business in a way that aligns with you, not only with the people you choose to work with. You choose to work with coaches and therapists and helpers and healers, but you also like to serve them with particular type of offers. And I know we had chatted recently, you had gotten some pushback from people. You said, I think I'm going to offer this. And, other people were like, no, that's not the way it's done. And I don't remember exactly what your comeback was, Juliet, but I think the hardest thing about being a solopreneur is that there are an unlimited number of options, because when you have a creative mind, you want to do them all. It's going to be really hard to get any traction by doing them all. So you chose this particular offer. I haven't seen it offered by anyone else. I thought it was brilliant. I told a bunch of my current clients about it. But where did that even come from? Because you are really carving your own path, and you are not following follow the leader. This is what they say you should do, in the way that you network, in the way that you make offers. Everything about the way you are creating this business is in alignment and an expression of who you are as a person. That would be the best advice I would give to a first-time entrepreneur. And you're just figuring it out for yourself. It's just the most beautiful thing. So how did you come up with your offer? And tell us about what that offer actually is.
Yes. So my offer is called the Killer Copy Week, because I feel like everyone should have killer copy. My tagline is your copy shouldn't kill you, because it's so overwhelming for people to, keep up with all of the copy that they ever need. A lot of people, they're fine to, write their social media captions, but when it comes to a really, really big launch, they can't find the time to sit down and write, 8 emails that are cohesive and really get to the nitty gritty of everything that they need for a good sell. And so the Killer Copy Week is my service that allows, a coach or designer, anyone who aligns with me, who wants to work with me, to have a week undivided of my attention. And I work on their project, which most of the time, the things that fit well into that are things like, sales pages and a few emails, or just a simple email sequence. Websites, sometimes, not always. Some websites are like too short for it and some are too long, but websites that are in a good kind of mid-size range are perfect, that I can get done in a week. But the biggest thing that is special about this offer is it is just a different way of going through the process of working with a writer, because, and this is where I got pushback from other copywriters, is the way that people do it right now is like the copywriter writes one page or one email, and, the person reviews it. And then next week they do the next one. And then the person reviews it. And then the next week they write the next one. And it's so much back and forth that, frankly, not everyone likes to work that way.
Hell no.
Yes, it's never ending. Yeah, it's never ending. It can get almost a little too detailed, where they're, so focused on every single page, where if you don't have the big picture, you're going to kind of overanalyze every paragraph. Whereas,
which most solopreneurs can do perfectly well for themselves, by themselves. Like the thought of hiring a professional copywriter to put that much overthinking, perfectionism, and detail into I might as well just keep doing it myself. That sounds like a terrible idea.
Yes. It does not save any time. Like, I think it's kind of presented as like, oh, it just will take them 30 minutes a week or something. No, it won't.
No, it won't.
It will take longer, and then you're going to get in more rounds of reviews. So when you do the entire sequence all at once, I mean, it's like if you had somebody come out every weekend to like clean your tires and then clean your mirrors and then clean your seats. Like, no, it's better if it's just all done at once. Like,
it's like, okay, today we're going to clean one tire and I'll come back next Saturday and I'll clean the other. You could decide if we start in the back or the front of the car.
Yeah. Sometimes it just needs to be done. And that is not, and the reason that I do it all in 1 week is because it puts their project as the only one on my desk, period. And so people think, oh, well, that's too fast. It's not too fast when it is the only thing that I'm focused on. I think there's kind of the fear that, like, if it's fast, then it's the whole Venn diagram of like, if it's good and fast, it's expensive, which is how it should be. And people might think, oh, if it's fast, then it's not going to be good. But the way that I do it is it's the only product on my desk. And
can I just say something, Julie? This is such a brilliant offer because we both have ADHD. And probably some of your clients do. And I think for people who have ADHD and for certain types of entrepreneurs, especially serial entrepreneurs, have this personality type as well. Yeah. They value getting something done quickly. Yeah. They don't want it to take a long time. So they're going to be the person who, if you give them the opportunity to, well, I can work with you on a retainer basis and we just take the work as it comes over a long period of time, or we can meet once a week for an hour and a half for 10 weeks. And they'd be like, do you have one where you can come to my office for the day? I'll just tell my secretary to hold all my calls and it can just be just done. Yeah. And you're like, as a matter of fact, I do. I mean, what a killer copy week is, that's your sole focus. So they don't have to wait for you to get back to them. They don't have to wait to see if you are available when they have a question. They can prioritize it. You can prioritize it. And you both know that the deliverables are going to be on this day by this time. And then you can both move on. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, those are the people that I want to work with. And I don't remember exactly who it was, but I remember asking in a copywriter group, like, does anybody do this or does this work for anybody? And some people, they will do like a VIP day where they'll do, something like a sales page in one day. For me, I like a little bit bigger projects. And so I like doing things that can squish into a week. But they had said, no, working that way is going to be out of line with your client's priorities. And it
depends on the client though.
Yeah. I just thought like, maybe it's out of line with your client's priorities and that's fine. You can keep those guys. Like you can keep the people that want to work on the same project for 10 weeks, but I prefer to just get it done, and the people that work with me prefer to just get it done, and I love it that way. I do offer workshops. I recently did a Write Your Website workshop, which thank you so much. You referred some people for that, which was wonderful. So I understand that there's some people that don't need really, really big projects, or they're not in a place where they can, hire a copywriter, or they're so new that seems terrifying to let someone else, touch their content at all. So I offer that as, a service for people that are just getting started and would like to learn the basics. But for the people that are overwhelmed and they just need to get it done, Killer Copy Week is, in my humble opinion, the perfect match.
I think you, as a brand new baby entrepreneur of some 3 months experience, are doing so many things so well. You are creating a business that is totally in alignment with your personality, with your gifts, with the way you like to work, the people you like to help, the cadence of the work, your offers. I think I predict over time, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in the future, that you will find that you will not get most of your good ideas from other copywriters because you'll just be too out of the box for them and they'll be trying to shove you back in the box. You're going to get ideas from all kinds of other entrepreneurs, including ones you work with, and you're just going to continue crafting your own way and, smiling all the way to the bank. I am going to be very, very happy to say, oh, I knew her when she was a brand new baby entrepreneur, and look at her now. I expect great things from you. And I know that you're going to have a fantastic career and really help a lot of people in a way where you are not hating the business you create. Because I think so many times women are so obliged to do what other people expect of them. And when they carry that trait into entrepreneurship, they actually end up creating a business they hate because it's the one they thought they were supposed to make instead of the one that's just right for them and the people they like to work with. So I am going to make sure we link in the show notes to your Killer Copy Week if anyone would like to go ahead and schedule that. And also, are you going to be doing the workshop again anytime soon for people who just need to write their own website copy?
The workshop is available on replay at the moment. I did have it scheduled for the end of this month to do it again, but that didn't work out. So I do plan to do it more often. I do need to re-record it. So I don't have a date for it at the moment, but the replay of the first Write Your Workshop email is replayable. And then I hope to offer ones based on, email marketing and other things like that would be valuable, especially to coaches.
No, absolutely. That'll be great. And by the time this airs, it won't be the end of this month anymore. It's either going to be next month or the month after. So we'll just make sure that people get the links to the replay if they want to watch that. So what social media platform do you want people to follow you on, and at what handle?
I would love some more Instagram followers. I am on Instagram as that writer. Should I spell it out?
I'll make sure it's in the show notes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. My Instagram handle is that writer, and you can always find me on LinkedIn just by my name, Juliet Peay.
And also you are doing some really fun stuff on TikTok. So, you're showing up with your purple hair on TikTok, which I totally love because it turns out you don't actually have purple hair, at least not yet.
I don't. Yes. My TikTok is Indecisive Juliet. It's a little bit more of my personal side of things. My Instagram is a little bit more business focused, but I love TikTok. Anything that can keep me entertained for literally forever, I'm there. You can find me.
I'm going to keep on being a fan forever and ever. You are one of my most favorite people, legit.
You too, Diane. You're my favorite too. See, we're just obsessed with each other.
We are. It's, like I said, it should be embarrassing, but it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend, that's all for now. Thanks, Driven Women, and go follow Juliet, okay? Do it.
You've been listening to the Driven Woman podcast with Diane Wingert. Want more straight talk and strategy each week that will take you from spinning to winning? Don't forget to hit subscribe in your podcast player so you won't miss a single episode. Then head on over to the Driven Woman free and private Facebook group community.